I'm just processing the violence of homophobia, queerphobia, just all the LGBTQIA phobias, like whatever the phobias, missias that are just like present globally. Um, but I'm just like really feeling isolated in a new city in Seoul. This is something that, I've processed over the past 3 years since the start of this pandemic, really about, queer spaces and the only spaces that queer people are expected to exist or given the space to exist is either like on the stage in a stage setting, in a performance setting, or at the club. At the club, in a party like setting, event party settings. And I just think about these places being thriving, well, somewhat, because even then they're under attack. There are not even many lesbian clubs in the United States. Many have been shut down. It's specifically in Los Angeles, movies like, is it The Shakedown? I don't know, but I'll tag it. But even then, queer nightlife is under attack and is being like diminished, destroyed, and also co-opted when you have many non-queer people existing in the space, not only just existing in the space but taking up space. How you can have like non-queer dancers in a space where they cater to like queer patrons, just like interesting. But the fact that these spaces thrive because of, well, not because of, but as a part of also like DL culture and people literally having to exist in the shadows. Like the only way that queer people can exist is in shadows, not to be seen, especially the ones that are, very visibly different from the status quo or from the cultural norm, which changes from culture to culture. Whereas in some cultures, like to what people would, stereotype as men holding hands as they walk down the street wouldn't be seen as an issue. They're friends. Like they just touch like that, or they drink tea and their like legs are intertwined. Like they're just friends. Like I know their wives. Like their wives are friends. Like these cultures that like cultural norms based on either proximity, closeness, physical touch, fashion, expression, all of these things vary and differ. But again, even in these cultures, there are those who blow up the spot, who are a little bit different from the cultural norms and from the dominant culture of heteronormativity. Whereas there have been men, but, heterosexual, from what I assume, men who have been quite curious in the daytime, who don't even reach out to me in public unless there's nobody around. And they will go as far to follow me, isolate me, or find me isolated, follow me in their cars, invite me into their cars, invite me back to their apartment, not to be seen with them. Or people, men specifically, that don't even interact with me altogether. Those same types of men, as soon as it's sundown, following me again, engaging with me, and soliciting me for sex. It's just very hard. I'm looping back around. It's very hard as somebody who, is like a whole ass like parent. I mean, I'm not, actively a parent, but like I'm like preparing for like children. And I know, and even then, like my relationship with the nightlife, my relationship with clubbing is very different. I think especially with this pandemic, like have been processing a lot of my introversion and a lot of my anxiety, social anxieties, especially if there's no resources attached to being in public, exerting energy or being accessible to people who extract my energy, extract my light, extract by capital by being in proximity to me. So my relationship with the nightlife, my relationship with the club life is really not really existent. I started performing again. I used to perform almost every weekend out of the month, at least 3 or 4 performances a month at curated events that could have been either in like museum spaces or private events. And that's just not the case anymore. And I don't go to many performances, and I'm kind of disconnected even from the city that I engaged with most in regards to like multiple gatherings of large amounts of queer people. And a majority of those spaces were heavily nightlife influenced or performance based in some of these ways. In the daylight, queer people gathering in the daylight, with visibility comes violence, unfortunately. And I want to see more spaces because I am, wanting more community everywhere I go. And unfortunately, the realization that like, if you're in a new place, like, if you're looking for the queer people, like, there's this club, there's these like queer clubs I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I'm thankful, I have seen a lot of couples here, mainly, what I perceive as like lesbian couples, but they could very well, be queer couples. They could very well be straight couples, but to me, they are different from what is the dominant culture of cis heteronormativity, even just in their especially in their expression, mainly with fashion, mainly with hair, that make me feel less alone. I don't know how to explain it other than that. I'm like, ooh, hi. But yeah, I'm thankful. I do feel relatively safe here in the streets of Seoul. I'm thankful for this. Given, I walk out like this every day, just like red braids in my hair, glitter on my face with a crop top, some kind of bright color on, some light makeup. I'm thankful. And at the same time, I'm just so disappointed and disgusted at the state of the world, especially when, all of the people who are so against it seem to be so engaged with it behind closed doors or during the sundown. I find it absolutely disgusting.